What is love? Suppose you were a single parent, part of a famous idol group with a difficult childhood, and you needed to conceal your children from others in the industry to safeguard your career. Would you understand what love is? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mindcrawl, where we explore the psychology behind your favorite characters. I'm your host, Ed, and today we're diving deep into the psychology behind a very complex character of Ai from OshiNoKo. Ai's story is one of complexity and resilience and growth and trauma and everything in between. Her experiences genuinely provide a great insight into attachment theory, complex trauma, Erikson's psychosocial development theory, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and honestly, the pressures of the idol industry. So get ready to crawl deep into the mind of Ai. To truly understand Ai, we need to start at the beginning of her story. Ai had a very turbulent childhood that was marked by abuse, as she was raised solely by her mother, with no mention of her father so far in the first 6 episodes. In 45510, Ai reveals that not even her rice was safe, as pieces of glass may have been found in it, which will be further discussed later on in the video. Just trust me, it's gonna get good. When her mother was arrested when she was still young, Ai was sent to an orphanage, and even when her mother was released, she never came to retrieve her. At the age of 12, the president of Strawberry Productions discovered Ai's potential to become an idol and scouted her, but Ai had reservations about taking the job because she felt unfit for it and didn't really know how to love. However, the president persisted, convincing her that lying was acceptable and that she could eventually learn how to love, giving Ai hope and leading her to accept the offer. This resulted in her becoming the center of this upcoming group, where she initially got along well with everyone, but as her charisma and her popularity grew, so did the internal divisions. This is further explored in 45510, where a Bikamachi member shares her experiences with Ai and everything that she knew. At the age of 16, though, Ai became pregnant. But as it would be too controversial for a young rising idol like her to be pregnant, well, she kept it hidden from the world. The identity of the father remains unknown. Ai went on a hiatus and moved in with her manager on a province far away to stay hidden away from her fans. This is where the story truly begins, as she meets her doctor, who later dies and is reborn as her son, while his deceased patient is reborn as her daughter. When Ai finally had children, she really did hope to love them, verbally that is, but she found it difficult to express her feelings verbally. She managed to keep their identities a secret for a few years. Unfortunately, at the young age of 20, Ai died after fatally being stabbed by a fan who believed that she was betraying her fans. And as she fell to the ground, tears streaming down her face, holding onto Aqua while Ruby staying behind the door, not knowing what's going on, but just hearing what was happening on the other side. It was a very traumatic moment. And it was at that moment that Ai finally said, "I love you," for the first time. Understanding a brief glimpse into Ai's history can give us a good outlook as to why Ai acted and reacted in a certain way. But we need to mind crawl further into her attachments to truly understand where she's coming from. Let's go. Ai's relationship, or lack thereof, with her mother is key to her character development. This dynamic reflects the concept of attachment theory introduced by Bowlby in 1969, which posits her early experiences with caregivers and the future relationships with others. It honestly is a great insight into her own mental and emotional health, as relationships that are being built at this age often reflect the relationships that we build as adults. Ai's mother causes her trauma in many ways. Let's start this breakdown. The first sign of a major trauma in this attachment comes from Ai's mother being abusive, which leads to Ai finding broken glass in her rice when she tried to eat it. If we follow Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can easily understand that while her physiological needs, her base needs, might be met, her safety and security were at risk. Then came her mother, being neglectful and ultimately abandoning I, which leads her to becoming an orphan. If we take a look briefly into Maslow's hierarchy of needs, let me bring this up. What would this do to an individual? If I was down here in safety and security needs, and mom leaves you, and you're no longer safe, how are you getting food? How are you getting warmth? How are you getting rest? This Maslow's hierarchy of needs might be a little broken. Even if she has her basic needs met, there is still struggle, and one of the biggest areas that we can point to is what is the direct area above the current area where she's struggling. Belonging and love needs. What is an area of hyperfixation that she might get into? Belonging and love needs. Intimate relationships and friendships. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I find psychology beautiful, because it allows us to go ahead and understand these characters in such a deeper way. With that being said, let's go back into it. According to a study done by Cassidy and Shaver in 2008, they reported that attachment disruption at such a young age often leads to challenges in self-esteem, relationships, and emotional regulation, and above all else, love distortions and cognitive distortions. I is fighting an uphill battle, and most children already have a hard time going through normal developmental milestones and meeting social cues. Now I has to conceptualize what love is when the person who is supposed to love you and give you unconditional love, your caregiver, was abusive and neglectful, and that starts creating an insecurity in love. It starts creating a strong distortion and dissonance as to what love truly means. You see, wait a minute, Ed. You're not just gonna stop there on attachment, right? Okay, these people came here for a mind crawl. Evil Ed, okay, I know, but it's not like I can just go off of the deep end. Why not? Okay, let me take the lead from here, right? So while Ed explained the attachment and all the trauma that came with it, let me break this down another way, right? I's hierarchy of need was completely and utterly broken. It was messed up. And while you don't need everything in the hierarchy of need to start advancing into other areas, man, it's such a beautiful triangle. Can you guess what happens if you stay in an area for too long? You usually start to find coping strategies to make up for it. Wrong, Ed. While that happens as a defense mechanism for some, it's not the answer I'm quite looking for. Look, what I'm trying to go ahead and point out is that sometimes individuals who are stuck at a lower frame tend to go ahead and look elsewhere for a hyperfixation point in other areas not met. In other cases would be intimate relationships and friends. Guess what she starts fixating on when she's about 12 and offered to be an idol? Finding what love is and having her fans truly love her. Replacing the love that wasn't there when she was a child. And wait a minute, Ed, evil Ed, that's actually true. Thank you. You see, when I see something you're not covering right, I'll jump in. Anyway, proceed. As evil Ed just pointed out, having a dysfunction in attachments, our ecological world, and our hierarchy of needs can lead to individuals being emotionally vulnerable to manipulation by others who can fix them by giving them a sense of control, money, power, and answers to questions such as, what is love? Attachment theory posits that early experiences with caregivers shape our future relationships and emotional health. You see, I struggles with love and self-worth and control are evident throughout the show. However, understanding what love is, and to truly understand that concept, we have to look past her childhood. When we have to really look into what she was like as an idol. Ai's journey as an idol was not an easy one. At an early age, I was scouted into Bikamachi and as the upcoming idol group and was placed in the center. While everyone in the group got along at first, well, with the rising popularity and the growth of the group, members began to feel a little jealous as the attention really began to swing up for Ai. What was once a close group of friends turned to a very distant and cold relationship where everyone had a unique distortion of Ai. Ai's background as an idol exacerbates her trauma, right? The industry is notorious for exploiting and commodifying young talents, which could contribute to a sense of objectification and dehumanization of Ai. Oftentimes, this could lead us to place Ai on a pedestal and create this parataxic distortion where we have to praise Ai because she's beautiful, she's everything that we want her to be. Now imagine that, plus the pressure of trying to maintain that perfect image, the scrutiny of the public, the intense competition. It can all lead to a heightened sense of anxiety. Even thinking about everything, I'm getting a little bit anxious. And it can lead to self-doubt, cognitive distortion, self-esteem issues, and all sorts of problems. As an idol, Ai has built her career on the adoration of others, which can often lead to a fragile sense of self-worth. This, accompanied by the amount of power and control the industry has over their idols, can cause major mental health issues to arise. Ai's career as an idol may have led to, well, I'm just going to be frank, an external locus of control, where she feels that the only thing she can control are the lies that she gives her fans. This further exacerbates her attachment trauma and why she is truly trying to find out what love truly is. You see, I told you it was all going to come back around these points. Okay, let's add on more, shall we? Ed, what happens when you have to wear so many masks to appease all of your fans, right? You're likely to lose sight as to who you truly are, right? Or what mask you're truly wearing. So how would you distinguish what you truly love compared to what you're being influenced or pressured to love? Wait a minute, Evil Ed, but everyone wears a mask. It's normal to wear a mask, and it's actually kind of healthy. We wear masks when we're with friends, at work, with family, you with your grandma, with your grandpa, with your aunt, uncle. We wear masks all the time, and I mean, you're right. But do you have a difficulty removing that mask when you're home alone? Or are you always working to perfect that mask for others? Ai wears these masks of love so that her attachment trauma is met. And I know what you guys might be thinking. Wait, Evil Ed, what are you talking about? A way of thinking about this, right, is she has an extreme insecure attachment at an early age when her father and mother and caregivers did not meet her attachment needs, right? So what happens when she turns into this idol and she has a whole group of fans and individuals out there who will love you and who will never leave you? Just throwing it out that way. This explains why she cared so deeply about perfecting her image, right? Based online, based on the comments that were left, based on everything. She wears the mask that they want her to wear. Hold on. Because that's just displacing and substituting one aspect for another. It won't always work because there's always a need to build some sort of connection. Okay, then tell me why narratively we don't know the name of the father of Aqua and Ruby without saying, oh, it's because it's a show and you have to go and find out. Usually at some point in time, especially after a number of years with kids, stuff like this starts to come out, right? So I'm super duper curious. Why don't we know the name of the father of Aqua and Ruby as of yet? Do you think that she was following a cycle of generational trauma, i.e. her father was nameless and left her when she was little, so she feels that it is not important for her kids just yet, you know, up until she places that call to know who the father is, or hints as to who the father is, and she just called him and wanted him to come on and introduce himself, which is quite different, right? She not once left the clues for them until it was time for her to go ahead and give him a call. I might be wrong, I might be remembering things wrong, but as far as I remember, that's sort of what comes through, right? Maybe the individual that was the father was manipulative and abusive and in the industry with her. Maybe it was someone who can't be touched, being realistic. Because what would that mean? Oh, you got a call from Ai, raises suspicion, gets a lot of people's eyes all around there. Do you really think that she's the only victim, Ed? I don't know, we're only 6 episodes in. Then tell me why she kept her mask on for the stalker that stabbed her and would prioritize that mask of her fan rather than her health. And considering fight or flight, she could have gotten Aqua and ran into a room and locked it. You could have said, oh, it was freeze. Sure, but she did have the time to go ahead and remember how to go ahead and address that fan in this high intense situation while she's bleeding out. So she was automatically in recollection mode, which is really, really interesting. I don't know, because she's an idol and that's what she knows to do? Okay, then tell me the name of her parents. I don't know. Yeah. It's because in her narrative, from what we're told so far, right? They are individuals that have left, that can leave, so she doesn't need to attach herself so heavily. So through the story, only the people that have some semblance of attachment she may give a name to. Now, when it comes to people's names, once again, that she names, people that she names that can be listed are President, Ruby, Bikamachi members. I don't remember if she named the stalker, but if she did, there's another thing. But yet we never once hear her name the father. So maybe she is trying to connect and be vulnerable and understand her way of loving others through this. Whoa, okay, that is interesting. Because in 45510, she actually addresses her idol members, her idol group members. We'll get to that soon. Look, the combination of Ai's personal trauma and the stresses of her career likely contribute to her insecure attachment style. This can manifest in maladaptive coping mechanisms, such as reliance on her manager for her support system, or seeking validation from her fans online and in person, or even just scrolling through Twitter and trying to find the comment that works, if that ever happened. Ai's journeys highlight the challenges faced by many individuals in the transition into parenthood, which can often lead to, well, changes in self-concept and identity. Ai's introspection about her self-worth and identity may be seen as a form of self-exploration, which is crucial for psychological growth. I'm not going to take that away from her. By questioning her feelings, motives, and actions, Ai begins the process of self-actualizing. Her journey can be understood through the lens of Erikson's stages of psychosocial development. As a young adult, Ai is grappling with the concept between intimacy and isolation, ultimately seeking meaningful relationships, including with herself. And let's quickly go into that so you guys know what I'm talking about. These are Erikson's psychosocial stages of development. Currently, Ai, when she was pregnant, when she was going through all of this, right, we can go ahead and understand concepts like this, right? Currently, when she got pregnant, it was between 12 to 18. Major question to be answered during those stages is, who am I and where am I going? And I'll read this out loud for you guys to know. Teens need to develop a sense of self and personal identity. Success leads to an ability to stay true to yourself, while failure leads to role confusion and a weak sense of self. Otherwise known as why we tend to mask, why we tend to have self-esteem issues, and all of these beautiful things. As a young adult, 19 to 40, comes the next one: intimacy versus isolation. The key question to be answered during this time period is, am I loved and wanted? The outcome of this: young adults need to form intimate, loving relationships with other people. Success leads to strong relationships, while failure leads to loneliness and isolations. And if we kick it on back to go ahead and see where this drama probably started from, right? We can look at different age periods in here and try and ask ourselves, yes, no, what can be answered? For example, how can I be good? Am I good or am I bad? And let's think about I as a child for a second, right? Am I good or am I bad? Preschool, ages 3 to 5, exploration and play are the key concepts, key events through this. Children need to begin asserting control and power over their environment. Success in this state leads to a sense of purpose. Children who try to exert too much power experience disapproval, resulting in a sense of guilt. How can I be good? Children ages 6 to 11. They need to cope with new social and academic demands. Success leads to a sense of competence. Failure leads to feelings of inferiority, which often leads to people trying to go ahead and make something to deal with those senses of inferiority. I wanted to go ahead and show that because it is super duper important to understand I as a whole. So is this what shaped her perspective of love? Well, I feel like we're missing a critical piece. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And I think that critical piece is 45510. I know, I keep bringing this up, but it's for a reason. Years after Ai's death, a Bikamachi member is reminiscing about the past and going over her emotions as to how close everyone was at the beginning, but how sour things turned when only Ai was given the attention, and how fans gravitated quickly towards her. This idol member mentions that they were never able to truly understand I, and provided us with the lost clip of I answering fan questions, which may lead us to understand as to what love is. Take a look.
Can you hear me? Is the volume too low? I see. Well, everyone, turn up the volume on your phones, please. What should we talk about? I didn't prepare anything. President told me to chat about what? Comments? You want me to read the comments? Okay. What did you eat today? I haven't eaten anything yet. Clothing brand? It's Uniqlo. Do you have a favorite book? That's a secret. Where do you usually go out? That's also a secret. Are there any foods you hate? Nothing in particular, but I prefer to avoid white rice. Not that I hate the taste. Like, see, white rice is soft, and then you have sand or some other grit in it. It's really scary when you suddenly chew on that, right? Do you want to get married? No, I can't imagine at all. Marriage? Me? Even if you say you want to marry me, how much of that is true? I can understand when people want to be with someone they like, but why marriage? Is it an expression of love? To prove that you would stay forever with that person? If that's it, then maybe I understand a little. Who's your type? I don't think I should answer this. Won't you feel bad if you're not my type? You want me to tell you anyway? Well, if you insist. I can't stand someone who gets annoyed every time I mess up. 'Cause I mess up a lot. People who are bothered by every little thing I do would get tired of dealing with me really fast. So, pass. Well, it's a pity, but I prefer someone who doesn't mind me. I think affection comes from trust. What was it? Payback? Like, to return affection with affection. But I'm a coward. I can't believe in the words like, love, or affection very much. I don't know. I've never really fallen in love with someone before. People can only measure others by their own sets of value. If you don't understand the word love, you wouldn't believe it when other people directed those feelings towards you. Or, in simpler terms, if you've cheated before, you understand what it is and are more likely to suspect your partner of cheating. This feels weird. I'm not good at talking about myself, am I? It's not that I don't like talking about myself. I'm just afraid people won't accept who I am. This might sound a little contradictory, but I really want people to know all of me. My faults and my strengths. My idiotic and charismatic self. I want them to accept me as I am. Actually,
I states clearly in this clip, people can only measure others by their own set of values. If you don't understand the word love, you wouldn't believe it when others directed that feeling towards you. I's self-concept of love is that her not understanding what love means that she won't be able to direct that feelings onto others. So, was she truly in love with the father of Ruby and Aqua? Or was there some sort of manipulation happening? And I have to go ahead and interject here, wait a minute. What if again, stay with me here chat, through an insecure attachment style, there doesn't always need to be manipulation at the forefront of a relationship. I think most people can agree with me here. Not all relationships, especially in a toxic relationship, does it have to be manipulative. It could be because of communication issues and so on and so forth. But let's put it plain and simple. She doesn't want to be abandoned, or she doesn't want to be lonely, and she wants to understand what love is. Now stay with me here. What is, in general, the greatest love that socially and culturally is pressured onto people by mentioning that It's the greatest love that one can experience. The love of parenthood? Bingo! So maybe having kids was her way of trying to understand that. And, you know, she loves to wear all kinds of different masks and tackling the mask of being a parent and having kids that can't leave you, well, as long as you're in their life and you're trying. Well, what stronger bond is there? Why don't we leave that to chat, Evil Ed? What do you guys think? That's not the end of 45510 though. As mentioned earlier, the idol group she was in was starting to turn a little bit toxic. However, in the early stages, they had started a blog site where they would put a lot of things going on about their life from time to time. It was soon abandoned when they started to approach social media through a different lens, and knowing how some managers and companies can be a lot of pressures to keep that up. This led to a big moment where the Bikomachi member checked the site years later after Ai's death, and, well, they found this. Take a look.
To Takamine, Nino-chan, Watanabe. Wow, I missed this page. I thought it would be long gone. So we were this close in the beginning. We're pretty stiff around each other now, right? Well, I do think it's my fault. I feel really bad about this. It's my responsibility, and I'm telling the truth here, you know? With everything going on lately, I can't ask you to believe me. But I really want to be friends with everyone, and that feeling has never changed. I haven't been able to express it properly, but these are my honest feelings. You might hate me now, but I never... If possible, can we go back to before? You can tease me whenever you want, scold me like you used to. I don't want you to be intimidated by me. Tell me whatever's on your mind. If any of you come back to this account for nostalgia, let me know the next time you see me, okay? Tell me I'm a useless idiot, and then I'll apologize for being the idiot that I am. I want to make up to you. I've been meaning to tell you guys some things. With everyone.
Wow. Okay, that is incredibly touching that I was actually able to address the situation that was happening and was trying to reach out to other members as if they were to check on it. You know what? I hope that she, this Bikomachi member at least managed to go ahead and print this out, and she deleted it. What? Why? Because that is not the I that she knew. You see, the I that she knew was the I that she feared, and the I that she admired. The I that made this post was too vulnerable, and it brings up all of these feelings of guilt and shame in her mind, and it invalidates her feelings that she had I on this pedestal. And if she's human, then how did no other member in Bikomachi reach out to her? I was reaching out, maybe not with fully understanding what love is, but out of empathy and connection and trying to mend this bridge with other members. And as a therapist, and through many intervention settings and couples therapy and even group therapy, this reaching out means a lot. Jeez, okay, yeah, you really weren't kidding when you said 45510 carried a lot of weight. So then, what is love, Ed? Well, let's get to it. Love to I was something that she was struggling to define and truly find a meaning for. I has had a troubled childhood, and the emergence of concepts of love may have affected her from early childhood trauma to the trauma of being an idol. She did, however, for the first and only time, say it to her kids in her dying breath, which may have shown that her kids were acting as her agents of change. Blah blah. Ed, okay, so what did love mean for I? Well, that's not for me to decide. That was up to I. And as made evident at the end of episode 1, we only hear her say I love you to her kids. So maybe if she were still alive, we would have gotten to see a different version of I. One that was starting to grasp what the world truly was and what love meant to her, and mending relationships and doing all of these beautiful things with others. But to understand what love truly is for her, well, I'll pass this question off to you guys. What was love to I? And what is love for yourself? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead and take this little moment here. I want to make a quick PSA and say, hey, from Ed and Evil Ed, check in with your friends, check in with your loved ones, check in with yourself. How are you doing? I hope you're practicing some self-care, and if you're struggling, please seek out some professional help in your area. If you ever need to vent or you need a quick support network, hey, the Discord is there for you guys. I just want to go ahead and state that while doing this video and after episode 6, I know it stirred up a lot of feelings in a lot of people, because I felt a lot while researching, editing, putting everything together. I've been crying a lot since episode 6, which is why I feel it's important to go ahead and bring this up and use this as an opportunity to go ahead and reach out to you guys. While this episode of Minecraft focuses on I, it is essential to remember that by examining her journey, we can gain a better understanding of ourselves, our relationship, the industry, and the world around us. So let's keep learning about ourselves, just like I. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with me today on this Minecraft of I from OshiNoKo. I'm Ed, and if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Psyculturists for more psychology videos on your favorite characters. A huge, guys, let's give all the love and support to KylesMigyles. Her links are down in the description below for being the voice of I. Go check out her channel, show her some love. There is a stream every Friday and Sunday. Fridays are OshiNoKo Fridays on Twitch, where you get the unfiltered live analysis for free. Ladies and gentlemen, we're currently aiming for a new camera to try and get a better camera for videos like this and for stream and everything above. If you guys want to go ahead and try and contribute anything, I'll link the throne down below. It means the world. Thank you so much. This is why I don't have a Patreon, and 99% of the videos on this channel are unmonetized, because it's for the mental health concept. If there's a channel you guys, or if there's a character that you guys wish for me to do here on Minecraft, let me know in the comments down below. Until next time, practice some self-care, and no, honestly, genuinely no, there is a random dorky idiot of a wizard out here on the internet that loves you and is proud of you and wishes you nothing but the best. Congratulations to everyone that graduated this week. I love each and every single one of you guys. Thank you guys so much.